Hey guys, today I am going to read Baking Drummies by you/Alex Dionysus. If there's one thing we love in Plainview, it's drummies. You know, those chicken wings. The ones Mayor Roy outlawed last year while most of the city gave up on drummies pretty easily. Some of us couldn't go a day without drummies. May I please have just one drummy? I don't care if drummies aren't good for you, I want some right now. Of course, when there's any sort of rule, the kids at my school try to break it right away, and it got so bad they had to check our bags for drummies. After Teddy Caldwell was expelled for hiding drummies in his locker for a month, we all just kind of figured that was it. No more drummies. That was when I learned about the underground drummy scene from Albert Sandy at lunch. The story was that some kids who worked at the grocery store stole a box of drummies and copied the recipe to make their own and got rich. He said that if we wanted to be rich as well, we should sell our own drummies. Well, long story short, that's my backstory. I'm Greg Heffley, drummy master of Plainview Middle School. Hello and welcome to the Papa Tony's family. My name is Papa, but you can call me Daddy Tony. It isn't easy being the top drummy maker in Plainview. Thankfully I have all that I need: a place to cook, my Uncle Gary's old trailer, and a business partner, my buddy Rowley. Not even 6 seconds after we perfected the recipe that fateful day, we had a visitor. Thankfully we were able to hide in the bathroom until Meckley went away, and that was when I found a note on the door: no drummies on our land, we cook here, catch you again, we'll call Mr. Alfrondo. I didn't know who Mr. Alfrondo was, and I really didn't want to find out. That was when it hit me, I wasn't the only drummy maker in our area. Anyway, business went on for a while. Some idiot had tried using a regular drummy box to hide theirs in, so we knew we had to get creative if we wanted to remain undetected. At first we tried using people to smuggle our drummies places, but we learned pretty fast that was a bad idea. The part where we didn't think through is that chicken would smell in a costume all day. Needless to say, our first attempt failed. Now, do you know who did have the transport game down pat? Leland, of all people. Turns out those anime books he has came in handy. Leland's not my only competition in Plainview. Need some serious help? Thankfully, I think in fact, more and more drummy dealers are popping up daily. Of course, most of these people are idiots who got caught their first day. Thankfully someone was able to assassinate the last big ring in Plainview, which allowed me and Rowley to rise to the top pretty quick. Even though we had made it to number 1, I knew if we needed to stay there, we would need some serious help. Thankfully I know a guy, Peter Tanibas, who runs the Papa Tony's chain. Tuesday last night I went to Papa Tony's right around close to try to get some help from Papa Tony. Let's just say it didn't go well. Please Papa Tony, I really need your help with this. I'm sure someone who has been in the drummy business this long, such as yourself, would understand. Do you know how I managed to stay in the game for so long? Mr. Heffley, I'm not sloppy. You've been sloppy so far. That Jefferson kid will be your downfall. Sloppy? I'm not sloppy. I have 20 drummies in the car. I can bring you. Just try one. You see that helping me will be worth your time. Please, you and me are pretty much the same. We are not the same, Mr. Heffley. You lack any of the skills needed to make it in the drummy game. I refuse to waste my time with a middle schooler who maybe makes $30 a drummy. Your pride will get you killed in this game. Let that be a warning to you. Now get out and never say the word drummy near me again. Fine, be that way. See if I ever buy your Chuck E. Cheese wannabe pizza ever again. With Papa Tony of the list, I decided to suck it up and ask Leland for an alliance. Turns out he wasn't exactly in favor of helping me either. Oh, and Greg, if you ever think of coming here again you will die. Realizing I had no choice, I called Rowley and told him we were on our own. Rowley, we need to cook now. Wednesday? Holy shit, this is getting ugly fast. Rowley and I had an order for 500 drummies, which would have made us $30,000 since we charge $60 a wing, not 30 like Papa Tony claimed. We arrived at the address, loaded our bags with as many drummies as we could, and headed in. To our surprise, there was nobody in the room except Baby Gibson. I started to think this was a prank of some sort until I found a piece of paper. Give Gibson the drummies. Once he has them, he'll give you your money. From Slick Slick? That name rings a bell, but I can't tell from where, which is the problem. See, Rule 1 of drummies is if you don't feel 100% sure, GTFO, I was calculating a plan on how to get out of there without giving Gibson any of our drummies, but also getting our money, when, well, what have we here? Two old men selling drummies to little old me, which baby knows highly against the law. It would be a real shame if baby had to call for the shit. I should have guessed there'd be sting ops, but I never would have guessed we'd be the ones to walk right into one. We were able to make it back to RV without the police catching on to us, but to be honest, that whole sting had us shook. One slip up and bam, you're in prison. And let me tell you, they don't like drummy dealers in prison. Drummy dummy. That was when Rowley suggested we get his dad to protect us from legal trouble. First of, I had no idea that Mr. Jefferson was a lawyer. Second, Mr. Jefferson is the last person who needs to know about the drummy business. He'd probably have me shipped off, and get Rowley off scot-free. Since I wasn't really in the mood to deal with that, I made Rowley promise that if I go down, he's coming right down with me. With that all sorted, we got to work finding an attorney we could afford. I think I found one. Legal trouble? Been there, done that. Gary Goodman. Gotta call Gary, attorney at law. Thursday, while Rowley was out last night on a drop, I did some research on Gary Goodman. Turns out he's got an interesting past. He even did some time in jail for an incident a few years. Speaking of Rowley, he came back from his run looking absolutely terrified. Rowley explained that the drop was going well, and right as he was about to get the money, Lawrence Hinkey, the renowned hitman known as Uncle Larry, showed up. Guess who's here? Uncle Larry. The only reason Rowley made it out was because Larry struck the boiler, which blew up and sent him flying. I told Rowley about Goodman, and that seemed to get him back on track. So we set up an appointment with Goodman for tomorrow, and got to work figuring out how to get rid of Larry. We knew that as long as Larry was still out there, no drummy dealer was safe. And even though we were all technically rivals, the old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, comes to mind. If we can get someone to help take out Larry, then who's to say we can't take out two birds with one stone? Friday after school, when Rowley and I got back to the RV to make a batch of drummies for Bryce, we found a huge surprise waiting for us. Mom. This whole time I'd been so careful to keep Mom from finding out about our drummy operation, and here she was practically inviting herself in. Greg, you need to stay away from the trailer. There is a lot of illegal drummies in there. I'm trying to call your uncle to confess to having them. Then I am going to call the cops. As easy as it would have been to pin the whole thing on Uncle Gary, I wasn't about to let Mom think he was running my operation. Mom, those drummies are mine. Rowley and I have been in business all school year, no need for cops. Well, that went as well as I thought it would. Let me get this straight, you and Rowley are drummy dealers. Yes, and we've made over $2,500 this week alone. I finally have my own income. Gregory Heffley, you know drummies are illegal. I need to go to the police with this. As Mom dialed the police, my mind was racing. If I surrendered to Mom, I'd be grounded for who knows how long. On the other hand, I'd lose everything if the police got me. Of course, you don't become top drummy dealer of Plainview, MS, by being dumb. You have to think fast, and that's exactly what I did. Cook for me. I realized my story wasn't the tightest, but if Larry got locked up and got us off the hook, then I deserved a Pulitzer. Believe it or not, it worked. Hello police, a man named Lawrence Hinkey who operates under the name Uncle Larry. Mom told Rowley and I to go home, but we had no intention of going home since our meeting with Goodman was in a few hours. In that time, we decided to see Albert, since he was the one who told us about drummies, but he didn't really seem to be in the mood to talk. Listen. Albert, too many people are onto you. 3455 named Clive. Clive, get it Clive, I'll come back later, then. I left Albert to whatever he was doing, and headed downtown with Rowley to meet Goodman at the address he gave us. Is this some kind of a joke? After waiting for about 20 minutes, Rowley started to worry we had walked into another sting. Greg, I know you hired this guy, but I keep feeling like baby Gibson is going to show up again. I'm scared, man. After another 30 minutes passed, Rowley had convinced me that we were most likely in danger, and we were about to leave, when Goodman finally showed up. "Look, I'm pretty desperate guy and all, but I think I made a bad choice here, gentlemen. Did you know you have rights? The Declaration of Independence says so. Still, I can't get too harsh." We explained our situation to Goodman, and this was how that went. And now my mom, Papa Tony, and Uncle Larry are on my ass. I might have bought some time, but they'll catch up to us eventually. What should we do? Come on dude, I'm getting nervous over here. Alright, you definitely need to keep the Larry story up with your mom, but for the others, have you considered murder? After he suggested this, Rowley and I just left. We went to him to stay out of trouble, not get ourselves into more. I'll admit I'm scared if hearing things in class is any sign. Mr. Heffley, did you finish your murder I assigned last night? Monday things for me have been, well, shit since we met with Goodman the other day. Rowley was so upset that I hired someone who pushed murder that he actually left the business. No. Absolutely not. When it was just us selling chicken wings I was down. But now your so-called lawyer is telling us to go against Josh's. Goodman was a mistake, I'll admit. We're not gonna murder anyone, Rowley. Honest. Get out, Greg. You're in danger. And I don't want to re-endanger for stupid Drummies now. Rowley and I have had our share of fights, Drummies or no Drummies, but he went too far this time. I gave him a piece of my mind, Rowley. Who do you think you're talking to? Let me tell you, friend. I'm not in danger. No. I am the danger. I'm not the nerd who answers a knock at the classroom door and gets pantsed. No, I am the one who knocks. Even though that speech was awesome, so, now I'm on my own. I have a ton of things to do. While keeping up the drummy business, I've gotta find a way to take out not only Uncle Larry, but Papa Tony and the Mingos. On a positive, I decided on an alias name, Heffenberg. At this point, who needs Rowley? Business is booming and there's nobody to share the spotlight with. I must admit I gave some extra thought to what Goodman said. If I took out Larry, Tony or whoever else I could take the top spot in plain view. I decided to take out Larry first, since as far as I know he's a nobody assassin, unlike Tony, who I'm fairly certain has goons. So what have you got there, little fella? I've gotta say, I'm impressed by how stupid Larry was to stick his face that close to a TNT-laced tattle turtle. Tuesday today at school, I was shocked to hear my name over the PA system. Heffenberg, report to Vice Principal Roy's office immediately. First off, I don't know how anyone got my name, or how they were stupid enough to think I'd just stand up and admit that was me. Remember, Rule 1 of selling Drummies is, always be one step ahead. I wanted to investigate this, but like I said, standing up when I heard the name would be stupid. During class change, I slipped into Roy's office, and let's just say I was not expecting who I found. Well, hello there Heffenberg, you took a while to get here, Rowley. What on earth was he doing with Ward, who was one of Leland's goons? My first thought was that Ward was holding Rowley hostage, but then I saw a new tattoo on Rowley's arm. This could only mean one thing: after our big fight, Rowley betrayed me. I can't believe he did this. Rowley started to launch into this big spiel about how in Leland's circle he was actually treated as a member of the team, not just a punching bag. Right then is when everything went black. I woke up a few hours later in Leland's hideout. He told me that after Rowley joined him they were able to get info from him and bring down my entire operation. That's it? Everything Rowley and I had worked hard on the last 4 months. Gone. Then Leland said something that chilled me to my core: after taking out all the others, I now get to take out Heffenberg. Well shit. Tuesday. Well, you probably thought I died at Leland's, didn't you? Well, I'm still here. How did I get out? It's actually funny. Literally the moment Leland opened the door to kill me, I spotted a little baggie on the floor. Leland went off on this long speech that I didn't really listen to. This gave me time to grab the baggie. I totally forgot that Leland is allergic to peanuts. I figured one of his goons left it around by accident. Leland was still rambling about what he'd do when I was dead, so I made my move. Let's just say that bag was accurate Leland puffed up like a balloon and that was my cue while fleeing. I was afraid I was gonna run into Leland's goons or Rowley, but I guess they all took a night off or something because there was nobody around to stop me. That night I boarded a plane for Isla de Corrales, gave Plainview a big old middle finger and never looked back. That the island feds aren't after me, since I'm technically now Heffenberg, not Greg Heffley. I've even got my own stand on the beach, and let me tell you, people eat up drummies like their lives depend on it. Well, now I'm rich, and I can happily thank the day I started baking drummies.